welcome back again to another Monday Tech Talk. This time we're getting together to look at the read and write software a little bit. We're going to take a peek at exactly how you're able to dictate using these read and write tools, but dictate into all sorts of other places that you maybe haven't dictated to before. Um, Typically we're doing this in, say, a document, which I'll start with. And then there are a number of other places, really almost anywhere on the web that you can put a cursor, you can go ahead and start talking and typing. So we'll start with the first example, the simplest one, of course, and look at a document here. So with the document up, I could certainly launch my read and write toolbar, which we have that up at the top here. It's this little purple puzzle piece. Right next to it, of course, is a little black puzzle piece to confuse things. And for that one, that's going to list all of your various extensions that you currently have. So if you don't see read and write on here at the moment, because it did sort of get pulled for a very temporary amount of time there when we were fixing some things, there's a chance that you want to go to Manage Extensions and click over here under the menu and go to the bottom where I can open. Let me just move myself here. Just see it there. It says Open Chrome Web Store, and when I click that, it is going to give me the web store here, and I can look at the TLDSB apps, and I should be able to find read and write pretty quickly, that purple puzzle piece. Now mine is going to say removed from Chrome because clearly I've added it already. But I had to add that back recently. So if you're not seeing the purple puzzle piece when you hit this black one, go ahead and follow those steps, manage and pull up the Chrome Web Store. And then here you're just going to hit add and add that guy back in there because you do want him for sure. When I hit that purple puzzle piece now, what I do get is the ability to hit this little push pin, this little, well, he's blue at the moment because I've clicked him, and that's going to keep him up here on the toolbar for me. So definitely going to use that right now since that's the idea. But even if I hadn't done that, right in Google Docs, they actually have this function built into their tools already. So if I were to come to tools, did they move it? Nope, there it is, voice typing. So I can click voice typing and get this little microphone up, even without touching read and write. So that's a little bonus one that I have in documents here, where I can click and anything that I say should get typed out on screen, period. New line. I can even add punctuation, exclamation mark, new line. And why did you give me grief? Let's see here. I'm going to quickly reload. I don't think that was related to typing because it did that part just fine. The only part it messed up was the new line bit here. So, which is interesting because it messed it up and then it got it right. Typically that will add, of course, a new line. I'll just hit enter for me. So if I were to just open that again and go tools and voice typing, I can now speak whatever I need to into the document, period. New line. Really? Okay, well, apparently new line doesn't seem to want to work right now. Period. Enter. Yeah, I've never seen enter work, so I'm not surprised that that said enter. I've seen new line work many, many times, so that's pretty strange. In fact, even when I was testing it right before we started, it worked just fine. So that's an odd one. Short version, though, is you can definitely dictate into documents. You can add all sorts of different punctuation in there with, like I said, periods and exclamation marks and such. And that part generally works really, really well. If I wanted to get the whole toolbar up, definitely I would hit that purple puzzle piece. And what I get is this bar right here, which does include voice typing, or what they call talk and type. So when I click that, in Docs anyway, the same function fires up. I can hit that, and I can begin talking. And I just click it again and it stops. So that is the button you're looking for on the toolbar here. This little headset with a mic, much like what I'm using right now. The rest of it is all the other read and write tools and such. I'm not going to get into those. We've already actually got videos about all of that stuff. But I'll go into the next one here. So another sort of semi-obvious one I would think is similar to a document is email. So when I'm in my email here, I can definitely fire up the toolbar and you'll just notice I can move this around. I can definitely, with that very first button, use this little 4-arrow point, just move him around a little bit. So I'll move him there, place my cursor right there into the body, and now I can click and I can start dictating my email. New line. See, that time it worked no problem. Period. New line. I couldn't tell you why. It understood that I wanted to go down to the next line, and yet here it actually used the word period. Click that off, and you can see here it actually did the period. So in any of these applications, I'll always encourage staff and students certainly to look at what they had just dictated and make sure that it is in fact getting the right words in there, the right capitalization in there, the right punctuation in there. It's never going to be 100% perfect, but it's certainly going to save you a ton of typing that way, especially if you've got a lot to say. So that definitely is an option. I can dictate right into the body of my email. I can dictate into my subject line if I want to. That'll work as well. I can't say I've ever tried dictating recipients because you would have to say the entire email address, and I'm not going to trust that it can deal with all the periods and at symbols. Our director is going to populate names for you pretty quickly with just a couple keystrokes. So I'm not going to bother with recipients, but definitely the subject line and the body of my email are good candidates for dictation. Next one I got open, Classroom, because we certainly use Google Classroom a fair bit. I just move him up a little bit, and I could go into announce something to your class, and I can click into this little text box here, this paragraph space, and I could just let the class know there will be tryouts for the skipping team on Friday at 4 o'clock. There we go. Tryouts for the skipping team Friday at 4 o'clock. Perfect. So I could go ahead and just post that without having to worry too much about it. I mean, similarly, I could go up to classwork. Yes, I know. Classwork, I could create a new assignment. Let me just move that out of the way for a sec. Boop, boop. And give it a title, whatever this is going to be. I don't know, an essay. And then under instructions, I can click and I can just start babbling away and telling my students exactly what I want them to do. Period. New line. I need them to complete an essay with at least 500 words and an introduction, 3 paragraphs, and a conclusion. There we go. And as soon as I've clicked that, you can see it goes purple once I click it. That's for speaking. And I click it again, and the purple goes away. And that way I can just continue talking and not worry that it's going to be dictated onto my actual document, or in this case, into my assignment that I'm setting up for the students. So definitely Google Classroom is another place I can dictate whenever I want to. Just keep this guy handy, my little floating toolbar there. Another place that you may not have thought of was WeVideo. When I'm in WeVideo, and I had this open, of course, earlier, I'll just hit reload. I was thinking, where would I do text? What are some places I might need to type? And of course, most of WeVideo is going to be video and audio, but there are text options as well. So I've jumped into the titles section here, and I could grab something like, I don't know, this one that says customize your message. I can drag that down onto here, double click into that space, and the words customize your message right now are grayed out. They're not really in the box, they're just filler text, so I don't even need to delete them. I just click in there and I start typing, or in this case, I can dictate. I will dictate my message. There we go, done. I can grab another one here, this motion quote option here, drag that down there, and double click. And now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different boxes here. So I'm going to click into one and say things like, I don't know, I will definitely be the best dictator you have ever seen in your life. There we go. I meant dictator as in dictating text, not political dictator. But hey, that's where we've got to clarify sometimes. We'll go ahead and get something else in there. We got bada boom. I could, of course, double click again and start replacing these words with whatever I want. I think you get the idea there. You can just grab any of these text options, whatever they might be, and start dictating whatever you want. It just means in that sense, you've got to go box by box. It's not one ongoing paragraph. Similarly, actually, the next one, I grabbed a spreadsheet because, of course, there's text in spreadsheets as well. And what you might do in this case, I've got a bunch of fake students with fake marks, and now I want to start entering some marks. Maybe I've already marked the actual work and it's in front of me, um, digitally or on paper, and I just need to fire off some marks here. Now, one thing with spreadsheets is if I just click, yes, I can start typing and it will go in there, but I don't have a cursor yet when I do that. If I just click a cell, there's no cursor there. So clicking the headphone is not actually going to kick it into gear just yet. I need to do one of two things. I need to either click into the actual address bar here, so I get a cursor, or potentially double click inside a cell here. That would get me a cursor. So let's see here. If I wanted to enter some marks, I'm going to hit it, 55. I can't say new line. And of course, in this case, it's just going to start typing, so that's really not going to work. So what I'll do is remove that. Here, I'm going to just turn that off. Get rid of all this. Backspace. Because it's a spreadsheet, I am going to need hands on the keyboard a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and say 55. I'll hit enter, and I'm going to keep going here. I'll turn my mic back on. 67. Didn't work that time because I'm not in the cell yet. So double click. And it just dropped it right in there. That's interesting. I didn't notice that in my testing. Okay, so it captured what I had done, and it's probably still capturing what I'm saying right now. And it just drops that in there as soon as I click the cell. So that's different. That's interesting. Let me just grab all of that now. Delete. Double click. 66. 66. 75. 82. 95. 67. 82. So in one case, it grabbed a negative for some reason, not quite sure where it got that from. And then you probably heard me doing one of two different things. I either double clicked into a cell and spoke, and then double clicked the next cell and spoke, or I clicked in, got my text in there, I spoke, and then I hit the enter, enter. That second enter is what's allowing me to then get into the cell and start getting a cursor up that I can actually speak and get those numbers in. So I'm either using my mouse and double clicking on cells, or I'm hitting enter twice in order to go to that next line and get my cursor in there. So it's going to be probably, I'm going to say, faster than hitting the keyboard potentially, depending on how quick you are on your numbers and what you might else be looking at, but definitely it's something to consider. It may help you out that way. And obviously, if you were doing a lot of more text type entry onto the spreadsheet, then certainly it's going to be able to do that as well. Here, where I'm just doing a single number and then moving to the next line, maybe a coin toss whether or not it's going to be faster or slower, depending on you and your habits keyboarding. What else do we have up here? I've got a web page. Certainly we can jump into here and do searches using our little search guy up here. Now I did find this a little bit wonky because what happens with this particular site, the way it's set up right now, when I hit that search button, it's not taking me to a new address. You'll notice I'm still at tldSpeed.ca, so this is not a page that it just pulled up. With the little X here, I can click that and it's going to take me back to the home page where I actually am at the moment. So if I click that and I'm in here and then I go up to turn on my toolbar, as soon as that comes up, let's see, I click into there and then I go click. I'm going to search for, I don't know. See, it took me away. So let me click that away again and I'll move you. This is where I had a bit of trouble. Find. Oh, okay, so I've got that turned on. I'm just going to leave that on right now. Go to find. School climate survey. There, and I hit enter. So let's see what it finds for me. All right, so now I found the climate survey this way. And I can start scrolling down. I can look at dates. That's April 2023 versus 2022. So I'll just make sure I get the correct one. But it's a little bit finicky, and that's not the fault of the dictation software. That's just the way the website functions right now. Similarly, when I go to our doc, it's a little bit better this way. If I click up here, and I'm looking to get into here and start typing stuff, I will of course need to hit my purple puzzle piece and get that back up again. Give it a moment. There we are. I'm in there, so I'm going to look for voice messages. And I just click in and hit enter, and it's going to find my Google voicemail page. So that would get me there pretty quick. I can click into here, Sheets. Gave me cheats instead of sheets, so it didn't quite hear me correctly. Let's try again. Sheets. There we go. All right, so as long as I'm turning my mic on and off at the right time, I'm not going to end up with all that extra gibberish in there. And then I find exactly what I want. Lots and lots of information about Google Sheets here, videos and documents. And lastly, let's see, Tech Talk page. Pulled this one up because, of course, maybe I want to fill in a Google form. Maybe you or your students end up filling in forms for stuff all the time. I'm going to go ahead and click that, scroll down. There's all of this. And then if I needed to actually say anything, let's see, I'll come to the bottom here. Anything else? Click and grab my purple puzzle piece again. Oh, it's already up. What am I thinking? And click. I can give suggestions about whatever I would like to see taught on the next Tech Talk episode. Even with me getting tongue-tied, it still managed to nail that one, which is interesting. Perfect. Okay, so it did it correctly, which is great. With the forms, for whatever reason, it's not a floating toolbar. It actually pins it to the top here, so I don't have any real options to move that one around. I can collapse it and get the little, tab poking down, but much like docs, it doesn't just float. It's going to stay stuck to the top there. But basically anywhere from, email to video projects to classroom to forms. If you've got a spot where you can put a cursor, then you should be able to go ahead and also get in your read and write tools and get your microphone going and be able to find anything there that you want to be able to dictate into and just start talking away and dictate everything that way and save your fingers and some carpal tunnel. So give it a try and mess around with that a little bit on your own. See where it makes sense to encourage students to use it as well, certainly. But definitely try and see where it's going to work best for you, even if it's just helping you understand the tool a little bit better for when you do assign things to your students. So enjoy, and I'll see you next time.